Imagine sharing your entire life with someone who looks exactly like you, until she steals everything that matters. My identical twin Hayden took my fiancé, forged my name on loans, faked my abandonment, and tried to erase me from my own family's inheritance. For 8 years, I disappeared, rebuilt myself in silence, and came back to Willow Creek with a binder full of proof and ice in my veins. At our small-town reunion, under the fireworks, I stood up in front of everyone, parents, ex, the whole damn community, and hit play. Her confessions, the forgeries, the lies. Handcuffs clicked. Her perfect life shattered in seconds. This is the revenge I waited 8 years to serve. Cold, calculated, and completely deserved. Watch till the end. You won't believe how it ends. My name is Harper Kane, and if you'd asked me even a year ago who I trusted most in this world, I would have said my twin sister Hayden without missing a beat. We came into the world 3 minutes apart, me first, her screaming louder, and from that moment on, people treated us like we were two halves of the same soul, mirror images, the Kane twins. In Willow Creek, a nowhere town tucked into the rolling hills of upstate New York, that label carried weight. Everyone knew us, everyone loved us, or at least that's what I told myself growing up. Our house sat on Maple Street, the kind of two-story colonial with peeling white paint and a wraparound porch that smelled like fresh-cut grass in summer and wood smoke in fall. Mom worked the front desk at the county clerk's office, Dad fixed tractors and taught Sunday school. We weren't rich, but we weren't poor either, just comfortably average in a place where average was the gold standard. Hayden and I shared everything, a twin bed with twin beds pushed together so we could whisper after lights out, the same closet stuffed with hand-me-down denim and thrift store dresses, the same dreams scribbled in glitter pen on the backs of our school notebooks. We looked identical down to the last detail. The slight upward tilt of our noses, the dusting of freckles across our left cheekbones like someone had flicked a paintbrush at us, the way our auburn hair caught the sun and turned copper. People couldn't tell us apart until we opened our mouths. I was the quiet one, the one who listened, who apologized first, who remembered birthdays and wrote thank you notes. Hayden was the spark. Louder laugh, quicker temper, the girl who could talk her way out of detention or into the captain's spot on the cheer squad. Everyone said she had presence. I used to think it was a compliment. Now I know it was code for she takes what she wants. It started so small, I barely noticed. In middle school, she'd borrow my favorite sweater and return it stretched at the shoulders because she wore it dancing at parties I wasn't invited to. In high school, she'd copy my homework word for word, then charm the teachers into believing she'd done it first. I told myself it was twin things. Sibling rivalry with extra closeness. Harmless. Then, senior year happened. I'd spent months on my college application essay. It was about Grandma's farm, the way the lake looked at dawn, silver and still, and how working those fields taught me that some things are worth fighting for, even when the ground fights back. I poured everything into those pages. The smell of hay in August, the ache in my hands after baling, the quiet pride when Dad said, "You did good, kid." I was applying to SUNY New Paltz because it was close enough to help on weekends, affordable enough that we wouldn't drown in loans. Hayden, though, she wanted bigger. Yale, Princeton, somewhere that screamed, "I'm better than this town." I finished my essay on a Thursday night in November, left it open on the family desktop so I could print it in the morning. When I woke up, the file was gone. Not deleted, moved. Hayden had printed it, changed the header to her name, and FedExed it overnight to New Haven. She got accepted early decision. I got a polite rejection letter from New Paltz 2 months later because my application was incomplete. When I confronted her, she cried, big, dramatic tears that Mom rushed in and wrapped her arms around her like she was the one bleeding. "It was an accident, Harp," she sobbed into Mom's shoulder. "I was stressed. I didn't mean to send yours. I must have hit the wrong button." I stood there in my flannel pajamas, staring at the girl who shared my DNA, and felt something crack inside my chest. But I swallowed it, forgave her. Sisters do that. Or at least, I thought they did. College split us for the first time. She went to Yale on a partial scholarship and a mountain of loans she swore she'd pay back someday. I stayed local, community college, then a state school transfer, working nights at the diner to cover books and gas. We texted, called on holidays. She sent pictures of ivy-covered buildings and fancy cocktail parties. I sent pictures of snow-covered fields and the new calf born in the barn. It felt distant, but not broken. Then came Jake. Jake Harlan was the boy who'd sat behind me in every English class since 9th grade. Tall, quiet, hands always stained with motor oil from helping his dad at the auto shop. He had hazel eyes that crinkled when he smiled, and a laugh so low it vibrated in your ribs. We started dating junior year, slow, steady, the kind of love that grows roots instead of fireworks. After graduation, he proposed under the big old oak by Willow Lake, the same tree our grandparents used to picnic under. He got down on one knee in the mud, held out a simple gold band with a tiny diamond, and asked if I'd build a life with him right here in Willow Creek. I said yes before he finished the sentence.
We set a date for the following summer, saved every penny, dreamed about fixing up the little yellow house on Elm Street that had been empty since Mrs. Whitaker passed, picket fence, kids someday, the whole small town happily ever after. Hayden came back from the city 6 months before the wedding, said she needed a break from the grind, moved into our old bedroom, offered to help with planning. She was good at it. Color schemes, floral arrangements, talking vendors into discounts. I was grateful, relieved even. Jake worked long hours. I was juggling 2 part-time jobs. Having my sister there felt like having backup. Until the night before the rehearsal dinner. I'd gone to pick up the cake topper from the bakery in town, came home early. The house was quiet, too quiet. I heard it before I saw it, a low moan from upstairs. My stomach dropped. I climbed the stairs like I was walking through water, pushed open the bedroom door. Hayden was on our bed, my bed, the white comforter twisted around her legs. She was wearing my engagement ring. Jake was beneath her, eyes closed, hands on her hips. Time didn't stop. It shattered. Hayden saw me first. She didn't scream or cover up. She just smiled, slow, satisfied, like she'd finally won something important. "Harper," she said, voice breathy, "you're early." Jake's eyes snapped open. He shoved her off, scrambled for his jeans. "Babe, Harper, it's not?" But it was. Hayden slid the ring off her finger, held it out like it was nothing. "He gave it to me," she said calmly. "Said you weren't enough anymore, that I was the one he really wanted. You always were the safe choice, Harp. I'm the one who makes him feel alive." Jake couldn't meet my eyes. He just stared at the floorboards like they held the answers. I turned and ran, down the stairs, out the front door, into the June night that smelled like lilacs and betrayal.
My parents were in the kitchen decorating centerpieces. Mom looked up, saw my face, and her smile died. "What happened?" Dad asked. I told them, word for word. Mom's first response wasn't horror. It was, "Calm down, honey. Let's not make a scene." Dad rubbed his neck. "Hayden's always been stronger, more outgoing. Maybe maybe this is for the best." For the best? I stood there in the doorway, still wearing the sandals I'd picked out for the wedding, and realized no one in that house was going to fight for me. So I didn't fight either. I packed a duffel in 20 minutes, took my laptop, my birth certificate, the little cash I'd hidden in a coffee can under the sink, left the ring on the kitchen table like trash. I drove west until the sun came up, then kept driving. No plan, no goodbye note, just a broken heart and a full tank of gas. That was 8 years ago. I thought leaving would be the end of it. I was wrong. I didn't look back once I hit the interstate. The rearview mirror showed nothing but taillights bleeding into the dark, and that was exactly how I wanted it. Willow Creek shrank in the distance until it was just a pinprick of porch lights, then nothing at all. I drove through the night with the windows down, letting the humid June air whip through the car like it could scour away the smell of Jake's cologne still clinging to my skin, the sound of Hayden's satisfied little laugh still echoing in my ears. My phone buzzed nonstop. Mom, Dad, even Jake once, a single pathetic "we need to talk" that I deleted without opening. By dawn, I was somewhere in Ohio, stomach hollow, eyes burning, and I finally pulled into a rest stop, killed the engine, and cried until my throat felt raw.
I didn't have a destination, just west, away. I sold my beat-up Civic in Cleveland for cash, no questions asked, and bought a Greyhound ticket to Chicago under a fake name I pulled out of thin air, L. Thompson. It felt like slithing into someone else's coat, loose at first, unfamiliar, but warm enough to hide in. Chicago was too loud, too bright, too full of people who didn't know my story. I lasted 3 weeks in a cheap hostel near the L tracks before I realized I needed quieter, farther. I kept moving, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, finally landing in Seattle because the rain felt like camouflage. No one looks twice at a girl with wet hair and red eyes in a city that never stops dripping.
I rented a studio apartment above a laundromat in Capitol Hill. One room, peeling linoleum, a Murphy bed that creaked like it was complaining about my weight. I paid first and last in cash from the envelope I'd kept hidden in my childhood bedroom for emergencies. The rest I earned slinging coffee at a hole-in-the-wall place called Brew and Bean during the day and waitressing at a dive bar called the Rusty Anchor 3 nights a week. Tips were decent if you smiled enough and didn't mind drunk guys asking if you had a twin. Ironic, right? I always said no. I changed everything I could without surgery. Cut my hair into a blunt bob that Hayden would have hated. Too severe, she'd say. Dyed it dark chestnut instead of our natural auburn. Started wearing contacts instead of glasses. Stopped wearing the silver moon necklace Grandma gave us both for our 16th birthday. I'd left mine on the kitchen table next to the engagement ring. New wardrobe. Thrift store jeans, hoodies, nothing that screamed small-town girl trying to look pretty. I practiced saying L in the mirror until it didn't feel like a lie. I didn't date. Not really. A few coffee meetups that fizzled fast. A guy named Ryan from the bar asked me out 3 times before I told him I was still getting over someone. He backed off politely. Most nights I went home alone, locked the door, and stared at the ceiling until sleep took pity on me. Trust felt like handing someone a loaded gun and turning your back. I wasn't ready to play Russian roulette again. Social media? I deleted everything. No Facebook, no Instagram, no trace. I made a burner Gmail for job applications and kept my phone on airplane mode half the time. The only connection I allowed was an anonymous P.O. box in a strip mall outside Tacoma, just in case something important ever came through. It stayed empty for years. Life settled into a gray routine. Wake up at 5 a.m., open the coffee shop, steam milk, smile at strangers, close at 2 p.m., nap if I could, work the bar from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., wipe tables, dodge hands, count tips. Repeat. I told myself this was freedom. No expectations, no one to disappoint, no one to steal from me because I had nothing worth taking.
But small towns have long memories, and gossip travels farther than you think. It started with a random message from a second cousin I hadn't spoken to since high school, Tara. She'd found me through some mutual friend who'd seen my name on a freelance graphic design gig I'd posted on a local Seattle board. The subject line read, "Hey, it's me. Thought you should know." I almost deleted it unread, but curiosity, or maybe masochism, won. She wrote, "I don't know if you want to hear this, but Hayden and Jake got married last summer. Big wedding at the lake house. Everyone was there. They have a little girl now, Lily. She's 3. Looks just like you guys. Your parents post pictures all the time. They act like nothing ever happened. Thought you deserved to know. Sorry if this hurts." Attached was a screenshot. Hayden in white lace, Jake in a tux, both beaming under string lights by the water. My parents on either side, smiling like proud grandparents. The caption, "Our beautiful family grows. Welcome Lily Grace Harlan." I stared at that photo until my vision blurred. Lily had my nose, our nose, the freckles, the same tilt to her smile when she laughed. She could have been mine. I closed the laptop, went to the kitchenette, poured a glass of cheap red, and drank it standing at the sink. Then I blocked Tara, blocked the email, blocked the past, or tried to. Years blurred together. I got better at graphic design, built a quiet freelance business making logos and website banners for local startups.
Moved to a slightly bigger apartment with a view of Puget Sound if you leaned out the window. Bought a used Prius, paid off the last of my student loans. Dated a kind, boring accountant named Mark for 6 months before we both admitted it wasn't going anywhere. He wanted kids and a house in the suburbs. I didn't know what I wanted, just not to feel like that again.
Then the letter came. It arrived at the P.O. box on a Tuesday in early spring. Thick, cream envelope, return address from a law firm in Syracuse I recognized instantly, Hargrove and Associates, the same firm that handled Grandma's estate when she passed 5 years earlier. I opened it in my car, hands shaking. Dear Miss Harper Kane, pursuant to the last will and testament of Eleanor May Kane, you are named as co-beneficiary alongside your sister, Hayden Kane Whitaker. The estate includes the family farm on Route 17, the lakefront cottage, and liquid assets valued at approximately $520,000. A hearing to contest the will has been scheduled for September 2nd at the Willow Creek Town Hall, coinciding with the annual Labor Day reunion. Hayden Kane Whitaker has filed a petition asserting that you have abandoned your familial obligations and are therefore ineligible to inherit. Abandoned. The word hit like a slap. They were trying to cut me out after everything. I read the rest twice. Then I sat there in the parking lot, engine off, rain tapping the roof, and felt the old rage rise up slow and cold, like groundwater after a long freeze. Hayden wasn't just living my life, she was erasing me from it. I folded the letter carefully, tucked it into my glove box. Then I started planning, because this time I wasn't running. This time I was coming home.
The letter from Hargrove and Associates sat on my kitchen table for 3 days like a live grenade with the pin half pulled. Every time I walked past it, my pulse kicked up a notch. I'd read it so many times the creases were soft, the ink starting to smudge under my thumbs. Equal shares, $520,000, plus the farm and the lake cottage. Assets I hadn't thought about in years suddenly felt like the only thing tethering me to who I used to be. And Hayden was trying to snatch it all away with one signature and a sob story about how I'd abandoned the family. Abandoned. The word tasted like rust. I'd left because they let her take everything else. Why would I stay for round 2? I couldn't just show up at the reunion and hope for the best. Hope wasn't a strategy, it was surrender. If I wanted any chance at justice, or even just survival, I needed facts. Hard ones. The kind that held up in court and didn't crumble when someone cried prettier than you. So I did what any reasonable person with a grudge and a decent internet connection would do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Marcus Reyes, ex-NYPD detective turned PI after a bad knee and a worse divorce. I found him through a discreet online forum for people who'd been screwed over by family, anonymous posts, burner accounts, the kind of digital back alleys where trust is optional and cash talks. He charged $150 an hour plus expenses, no retainer bullshit. I wired him the first chunk for my savings and sent him everything I had. The will notice, my old social security number, the last known addresses for Hayden and Jake, even screenshots of the Facebook posts I'd saved before blocking everyone. Marcus called me 4 days later from a number with a 315 area code, Syracuse. His voice was gravelly, like he'd smoked through the Clinton administration. Miss Thompson, or Kane, whatever you're going by these days. I've got prelims. You sitting down? I was on my fire escape in the drizzle, coffee gone cold in my hand. Hit me.
He didn't sugarcoat it. Your sister's been busy, real busy. Starting about 6 months after you left town, she opened 3 credit cards in your name, 2 in Willow Creek, 1 online through a national issuer. Maxed them out fast. Furniture, vacations, a down payment on a new SUV for Jake when he got promoted to deputy. Total run-up, around 80 grand before she stopped using them. My stomach twisted. She used my name for a car? Yep. And that's the tip. She refinanced the family farm twice, first in 2018, then again last year, both times listing you as co-signer. Signatures look forged to me, but I'm pulling the originals from the county clerk. She told the bank you were out of state, but fully on board. They didn't ask too many questions. Small town banking. I pressed my forehead against the cold metal railing. Rain dripped off the overhang onto my knuckles. How much? Combined loans, $197,000, give or take. Payments are current, but barely. She's been juggling minimums like it's a circus act. If the will goes through and the estate gets probated, those creditors will come knocking on your half first. They don't care who actually spent the money, they care whose name is on the paper. I let out a laugh that sounded more like a choke. So she's planning to bankrupt me to save her own ass. Looks that way. There's more. I got audio from a burner phone she used last month, conversation with her best friend, some woman named Trish. Hayden laughs, says, Harper's never coming back. She's dead to them. Once the will's thrown out, the farm's mine free and clear. Jake can finally quit worrying about the payments. I closed my eyes. The rain felt colder now. Send it all. Everything. PDFs, recordings, timelines. I need to see how deep this goes. Marcus paused. You planning something, kid? I'm planning to stop being the ghost in my own life. He chuckled, low and dry. Fair enough. Wire the next payment and I'll overnight the package. And Harper, be careful. People who build houses on lies get real twitchy when the foundation starts cracking.
The package arrived 5 days later. Thick manila envelopes stuffed with printouts, USB drives, grainy photos. I spread it across my living room floor like crime scene photos in a movie. Bank statements showing charges at high-end baby boutiques in Syracuse. Mortgage docs with my signature looking almost perfect. Almost. A photo of Hayden at the bank teller window, smiling that same bright, winning smile she used on teachers, boys, my parents. Forged ID with my name and her face. The audio file played through my laptop speakers. Her voice, light and careless, like she was discussing weekend plans instead of identity theft on a felony scale. I listened to it 3 times. Each time the rage built slower, colder, more precise. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't a mistake. This was calculated, methodical. She'd spent 8 years turning me into a cautionary tale while she played the victim turned victor. My parents bought it, the town bought it, even Jake, God Jake, must have swallowed it whole. I sat on the floor until my legs went numb, staring at the evidence until it blurred. Then I started organizing. Color-coded folders, timelines printed on legal paper, screenshots time-stamped. I cross-referenced every transaction with public records I could pull myself. By the end of the week, I had a binder thick enough to use as a doorstop. I also had a name for what I was building. Leverage. Not just to win the will hearing. Not just to get my share. I wanted her to feel it. The slow, sickening realization that the life she'd stolen was built on sand. I wanted the town that watched her parade around as the good twin to see the receipts. I wanted my parents to choke on every excuse they'd ever made for her. And yeah, part of me wanted Jake to look at his wife and finally see the woman who'd lied to his face for years. I booked a one-way flight to Syracuse for late August. Reserved a room at the Willow Creek Motor Lodge under my real name, Harper Kane. No more hiding. No more L. Thompson playing pretend. I packed light. The binder, a burner phone, my old high school cheer jacket folded at the bottom of the suitcase like a talisman. I stood in front of my tiny bathroom mirror the night before I left, staring at the woman looking back. Dark hair growing out, roots showing auburn again, eyes sharper than they'd been in years. I whispered to my reflection, "You ready?" The woman in the mirror didn't answer. She just smiled, slow, cold, patient. Hayden had no idea what was coming, but she would, soon. The flight from Seattle to Syracuse felt like crossing a border into enemy territory. I sat by the window the whole way, watching the landscape change from jagged Pacific peaks to flat Midwest cornfields to the soft, familiar hills of upstate New York. Every mile closer tightened the knot in my chest. By the time the plane touched down, my hands were clammy and my mouth tasted like metal. I rented a nondescript gray sedan at the airport, no GPS tracking, cash deposit, and drove the last hour and a half to Willow Creek with the radio off, just the hum of tires on asphalt and my own breathing. I checked in to the Willow Creek Motor Lodge at dusk,
Same faded green sign, same flickering neon vacancy that had been there since I was a kid sneaking out to meet Jake by the lake. The clerk, an older woman named Rita, who used to babysit us, did a double take when I slid my driver's license across the counter. Harper Kane? Her voice cracked on my name like she'd seen a ghost. Lord have mercy, we thought you were gone for good. I forced a small smile. Turns out I'm harder to kill than that. She handed me the key to room 12 without asking more questions, but her eyes followed me all the way down the cracked sidewalk. I knew what came next, the phone tree. In Willow Creek, news traveled faster than the gossip itself. By morning, half the town would know the missing twin was back. I unpacked in the dim room, binder of evidence on the dresser, laptop charging, suitcase open on the sagging bed. Then I did the first thing I'd planned. I walked to the diner.
The Willow Creek Diner hadn't changed in a decade. Same red vinyl booths, same jukebox in the corner playing Patsy Cline on low, same smell of fryer grease and coffee that had been on too long. I pushed through the door at 7:15 a.m., bell jingling like an alarm. A few early regulars, farmers in Carhartt jackets, the retired postmaster, looked up from their eggs. Conversation stuttered. Old Mrs. Hargrove was behind the counter, gray hair in a tight bun, apron still spotless. She froze mid-pour when she saw me. Coffee sloshed over the rim of a mug. "Harper?" Her voice carried across the room like a dropped plate. "Sweet Jesus, child, is that really you?" I slid onto a stool like I'd never left. "Morning, Mrs. Hargrove. Black coffee, please, and whatever the special is today." She set the pot down hard. Her hands trembled. "We thought, your mama said you'd run off, said you didn't want anything to do with us anymore. Folks figured you were in California or something." Deadbeat dad jokes started circulating after a while. I met her eyes. I left because staying would have killed me slower. She studied me for a long beat, then poured the coffee without another word. The plate she slid over had pancakes, bacon, hash browns, the full breakfast I used to split with Hayden on Saturday mornings. She didn't charge me, just whispered, "Welcome home, honey," before disappearing into the kitchen. Word spread like spilled syrup. By the time I finished eating, 3 people had come over to hug me awkwardly, 2 more had stared from across the room, and 1 old high school classmate, Tommy Whitaker, now balding and running the feed store, mumbled, "Damn girl, you look good, real good." I paid with cash, left a big tip, and walked out into the crisp September morning. The air smelled like fallen leaves and distant bonfires. Main Street looked smaller than I remembered. Faded awnings, empty storefront where the video rental used to be. The same bench where Jake and I used to sit after football games. I felt eyes on me from every window. Hayden didn't wait long.
She showed up at the motel that evening, right as the sun dipped behind the hills and turned the sky bruise purple. I heard the knock, sharp, 3 times, like she was trying to sound official. I opened the door in my jeans and an old hoodie, hair still damp from the shower. There she stood, identical face, identical auburn hair now styled in perfect waves, designer jeans, cream sweater that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Mascara already streaked like she'd been crying on the drive over. Classic Hayden, weaponizing vulnerability. "Harper," she breathed, voice cracking on cue. "Oh my God, you're really here." She threw her arms around me before I could step back. Her perfume, something expensive and floral, hit me like a memory I didn't want. I let her hug me for exactly 3 seconds, then gently but firmly pushed her away. "Hey sis," I said, voice flat. "Long time." She searched my face, eyes wide and shiny. "I can't believe it. We've missed you so much. Mom and Dad, they're going to lose their minds. Lily, she asks about her Aunt Harper sometimes. I tell her stories. I never stopped hoping you'd come back." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Didn't seem like anyone was looking too hard. Her lip trembled. "We didn't know where you were. You just vanished. No calls, no letters. We thought maybe you were angry, hurt. We gave you space." "Space," I echoed. "Right." She stepped closer, lowering her voice like we were sharing secrets again. "I know things ended badly. With Jake. With all of us. But that was years ago. We've all grown up, changed. I've changed. I want to make it right, Harp. Please, come to dinner tomorrow night at the house. Jake's working late, but Lily would love to meet you. Mom and Dad are dying to see you. I studied her. The same pleading eyes she used to get out of chores, to borrow my clothes, to steal my future. She was good, damn good, at playing the remorseful sister. If I hadn't seen the forged signatures, the loans, the audio of her laughing about burying me, I might have bought it. But I had seen them. I let a small, tired smile touch my lips. Dinner sounds nice. I'd like to meet Lily. Her face lit up. Relief, triumph, maybe a flicker of calculation. Perfect. 6 o'clock? I'll make your favorite. Chicken pot pie, just like Grandma's. Sounds good, I said. See you then. She hugged me again, quick this time, then turned to leave. At the edge of the parking lot, she paused, looked back over her shoulder. I'm so glad you're home, Harper. Really. I closed the door without answering. Then I locked it. Deadbolts, chain. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice memo app, and hit record, just in case, because the game had started. She thought she was welcoming the prodigal sister. She had no idea she'd just invited the reckoning inside. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall where a faded motel painting of a covered bridge hung crooked. My reflection in the dark TV screen looked calm, almost serene. Tomorrow, I'd step back into the life she'd stolen, and I'd start taking it apart, piece by careful piece. She never saw the ice behind my smile, but she would. Soon enough.
The first few days back in Willow Creek felt like walking a tightrope strung between two burning buildings. I played the part perfectly. The long-lost sister, grateful and soft-spoken, eyes wide with nostalgia. I smiled at old neighbors in the grocery store, let them hug me too long, answered their questions with vague half-truths about finding myself out west. No one pushed too hard. Small towns love a redemption arc almost as much as they love drama. But underneath the polite small talk, I was watching, waiting, planting seeds. First stop after checking into the motel, the bank. Not to make a deposit, to ask questions. I walked into Willow Creek Savings and Loan in my jeans and a simple gray sweater, hair pulled back, looking every bit the confused returning resident. The teller was a girl I'd gone to high school with, Katie Monroe, now married, 2 kids, still wearing the same butterfly clip in her bangs. Hi, Katie, I said, sliding my ID across the marble counter. I need to check on some old accounts. Been gone a while. She blinked twice, then gasped. Harper? Holy crap, everyone's talking about you coming back. I gave her the sheepish smile I'd practiced. Yeah, long story. Anyway, I got some weird credit alerts. Thought maybe there was identity theft or something. Can you pull my credit report? Or at least tell me if anything's open in my name? The first few days back in Willow Creek felt like walking a tightrope strung between two burning buildings. I played the part perfectly. The long-lost sister, grateful and soft-spoken, eyes wide with nostalgia. I smiled at old neighbors in the grocery store, let them hug me too long, answered their questions with vague half-truths about finding myself out west. No one pushed too hard. Small towns love a redemption arc, almost as much as they love drama. But underneath the polite small talk, I was watching, waiting, planting seeds. First stop after checking into the motel, the bank. Not to make a deposit, to ask questions. I walked into Willow Creek Savings and Loan in my jeans and a simple gray sweater, hair pulled back, looking every bit the confused returning resident. The teller was a girl I'd gone to high school with, Katie Monroe, now married, 2 kids, still wearing. Katie hesitated, glanced around, then lowered her voice. We're not supposed to, but hang on. She typed fast, frowning deeper with every click. When she looked up, her face was pale. Harper, there are 3 credit cards listed under your SSN. 2 are maxed, and there's a mortgage lien on the Kane farm, co-signed by you. Payments are current, but the balance is a lot. I let my eyes go wide. What? That can't be right. I haven't lived here in 8 years. She printed a summary sheet, nothing official, just a screen capture, and slid it over like it was contraband. You should talk to the police. This looks bad. I folded the paper carefully.
Thanks, Katie. Don't tell anyone yet, okay? I want to handle it quietly. She nodded, eyes huge, but I knew she wouldn't keep quiet. Not in Willow Creek. Next, the grocery store on Main Street. I accidentally ran into Mrs. Ellis, the town's unofficial newsletter, in the produce aisle. She was weighing cantaloupes when I reached past her for apples. Mrs. Ellis, I said brightly. Long time. She nearly dropped the melon. Harper Kane? My goodness, you're a sight for sore eyes. Your poor parents. They've been through the ringer. I picked up a Granny Smith, turned it in my hand. Yeah, about that. Weird thing, my credit's trashed. Someone's been opening accounts in my name. Loans, too. On the farm, even. Crazy, right? Her eyebrows shot up. The farm? But Hayden said. I cut her off gently. Hayden said a lot of things, I bet. Anyway, just thought you should know, in case anyone asks why I'm back. She clutched her cart like it was a lifeline. I walked away feeling the first real crack form. That night, dinner at her house, the yellow two-story on Elm I'd once dreamed of decorating with Jake. Hayden had invited the whole family. Mom, Dad, Lily, and Jake, who was supposed to be working late but showed up anyway in his sheriff's uniform, badge gleaming under the porch light. The same butterfly clip in her bangs. Hi, Katie, I said, sliding my ID across the marble counter. I need to check on some old accounts. Been gone a while. She blinked twice, then gasped. Harper? Holy crap, everyone's talking about you coming back. I gave her the sheepish smile I'd practiced. Yeah, long story. Anyway, I got some weird credit alerts. Thought maybe there was identity theft or something. Can you pull my credit report? Or at least tell me if anything's open in my name?
Hayden greeted me at the door with another hug, this one smelling faintly of wine. Come in, come in. Lily's been asking about Aunt Harper all day. Lily was 7 now, dark curls, big hazel eyes that were pure Jake. She peeked from behind Hayden's leg, then stepped forward shyly. You look like Mommy. I crouched to her level, heart twisting. Yeah, kiddo, we're twins. That means we look the same. But I'm the fun one. I winked. She giggled. Dinner was tense under the surface. Chicken pot pie, Hayden's version, too salty, pastry a little burnt. Mom kept touching my arm like she was afraid I'd vanish again. Dad asked safe questions about Seattle. Jake mostly stared at his plate. Halfway through, I set my fork down. So, the farm. Grandma's will hearing is at the reunion, right? Equal shares. That's what the letter said. Hayden's smile froze mid-bite. Yes, but there are complications. Debts. Legal stuff. Debts? I tilted my head innocently. Like the loans taken out in my name, the ones I just found out about at the bank today? Silence hit the table like a dropped tray. Mom's fork clattered. What loans? Hayden laughed. Too high, too quick. It's nothing, Mom. Old mix-up. Harper's been gone so long, paperwork gets messy. I pulled the bank summary from my pocket, laid it flat. Not messy. Fraudulent. 3 cards, almost 200 grand on the farm mortgage. My signature's on everything. Funny how it all lines up with when I left. Jake finally looked up. His face was gray. Hayden, is this true? Hayden's eyes darted between us. Jake, don't. She's twisting it. She's angry. She's always been dramatic. I met her gaze. I'm not angry, sis. I'm curious. How does someone accidentally forge a co-signature on a mortgage? Twice? Dad cleared his throat. Girls, let's not do this at dinner. Lily's here. I reached over, squeezed her small hand. It's okay, sweetie. Grown-up talk. Hayden stood abruptly, chair scraping. Excuse me, I need air. She fled to the kitchen. Jake followed a beat later. I heard low voices through the swinging door. His sharp, hers defensive. Mom reached for me. Harper, honey, we didn't know. I pulled back gently. You didn't ask. The rest of the meal passed in strained silence. Lily asked if I could read her a bedtime story. I said yes. Upstairs, in what used to be my old room, now painted pink with unicorn decals, I sat on the edge of her bed and read Where the Wild Things Are, while Hayden hovered in the doorway like a guard. When Lily's eyes closed, I stood. Hayden blocked the hall. We need to talk, she whispered. I smiled thinly. We will, at the reunion, in front of everyone. Her knuckles whitened on the doorframe. You're making a mistake. No, I said softly. You made the mistake. Years ago. I walked past her, down the stairs, past my stunned parents, out the front door into the cool night. Jake was on the porch, leaning against the railing, cigarette glowing in the dark. He hadn't smoked when we were together. Harper, he said quietly. I paused on the steps. Don't. He exhaled smoke. I didn't know about the loans. Not all of it. I looked at him. Really looked. The boy I'd loved was buried under 8 years of lies and a badge. You didn't want to know. He didn't argue. I got in my rental car and drove back to the motel. My phone buzzed once. Text from an unknown number. Stay out of it. You'll regret this. I saved the screenshot, added it to the binder. The cracks were spreading. Hayden's perfect facade was starting to fracture. And I was just getting started.
The morning after that disastrous family dinner, I woke up before dawn in the motel room, the kind of gray light that makes everything look washed out and guilty. My phone was already buzzing. Texts from Mom, "We need to talk, honey." Dad, "Your sister's upset." And one from an unknown number that just said, "Stop this now." I deleted them all without replying. Silence was my best weapon right now. Let them stew. I dressed quickly, dark jeans, black hoodie, hair in a low ponytail, and drove straight to the Willow Creek Sheriff's Department. Not to see Jake, to file a report. The building was newish brick, American flags snapping in the wind out front. Inside smelled like burnt coffee and printer toner. The desk sergeant was a guy I didn't recognize. Young, buzz-cut, name tag reading Deputy Ramirez. He looked up from his computer, surprised to see someone at 7:45 a.m. "Can I help you, ma'am?" "I need to file a report for identity theft," I said, sliding my ID and the bank summary across the counter. "And fraud, forgery, whatever covers someone using my name and social security number to rack up almost 200 grand in debt." His eyebrows climbed. "That's serious. You got proof?" I opened the binder I'd brought, neatly tabbed, printed copies of everything Marcus Reyes had dug up. Statements, forged signatures side by side with my real ones from old school records. The audio file transcribed and timestamped. Mortgage docs, credit reports pulled fresh from Equifax the night before. Ramirez flipped through it slowly, face tightening. "This is a lot. And your last name's Kane, like Sheriff Harlan's wife?" "Hayden Kane Whitaker," I said evenly. "My twin sister." He exhaled through his nose. "Okay, hang tight. I'll get someone senior." 10 minutes later, Detective Paul Grayson walked out. 50s, salt and pepper hair, the same guy who'd coached our middle school basketball team. He recognized me instantly. "Harper Kane," he said, voice low. "Hell of a way to come home." "Paul," I replied. "I need this handled quietly for now, but officially." He led me to a small interview room that smelled faintly of bleach. We sat across from each other at a metal table scarred with years of coffee rings. I laid it all out again. Calm, chronological, no emotion. Just facts. When I got to the part about Hayden laughing on the burner phone recording about me being dead to them, Grayson's jaw clenched. "This isn't small potatoes," he said when I finished. "Felony-level fraud. Multiple counts. If the signatures are forged and they look it, we're talking grand larceny. Maybe wire fraud if any of those cards were used online. But you know Jake's married to her. This is going to blow up the whole department." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm here first, not going to the state police yet, giving you the chance to do it right." He rubbed his temples. "You always were the straight shooter, even when you were 12. All right, I'll open the file. We'll need to subpoena bank records, get handwriting analysis on those SIGs. Might take a few weeks to build, but I'll push it. In the meantime, don't confront her directly. Don't tip your hand." I nodded. "I won't. But people are already talking. I made sure of that." Grayson gave me a long look, half admiration, half warning. "You're playing with fire, kid." "I've been burned before," I said. "This time I'm holding the match." I left the station feeling lighter, like I'd finally shifted the weight off my shoulders and onto someone else's. The report was official now. Paper trail started. No taking it back. That afternoon, I stopped by the feed store to pick up a few things, mostly an excuse to let Tommy Whitaker spread more word. He was behind the counter, same place he'd been since high school. "Harper," he said, grinning, "heard you were back. You need chicken feed or just gossip?" "Little of both," I said, leaning on the counter. "Actually, weird thing, just filed a police report, identity theft. Someone's been using my name for loans, big ones, on the farm even." His grin faded. "No shit. Who'd do that?" I shrugged. "Whoever had access to my info 8 years ago. Crazy, right?" Tommy's eyes widened. He knew exactly who had access. By closing time, every farmer in a 20-mile radius would know. "Hayden called at 4:17 p.m.
I let it ring twice before answering. "Harper," she said, voice shaking. "What the hell did you do?" I sat on the motel bed, staring out at the parking lot. "I filed a report. Identity theft. Fraud. The usual." She laughed, sharp, panicked. "You're insane. You think the police are going to believe you over me? I'm married to the sheriff. I have a kid, a life here. You disappeared. You're the unstable one." "I have proof," I said calmly. "Signatures, timelines, recordings. The bank teller, Katie, saw the accounts herself. She's probably already told half the town." Silence stretched, then softer. "Please, I was desperate. After you left, Jake lost his job for a while. The economy tanked. We were drowning. I thought if I used your name, just temporarily, we could catch up. I was going to pay it back."
I almost believed the tremble in her voice. Almost. "Pay it back," I repeated. "With what? The farm you tried to steal from me in the will contest?" "Harper, I recorded this call, by the way," I said, "just so we're clear." She sucked in a breath. "You bitch. There's the Hayden I remember." She hung up. An hour later, Jake showed up at the motel. No uniform this time, just jeans, flannel shirt, hands shoved deep in his pockets like he was cold. He knocked once, softly. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. We stood on the threshold, the evening air cool between us. "What are you doing, Harper?" he asked quietly. "Reclaiming what's mine." He looked older than 32, lines around his eyes, gray at the temples. "She's scared, really scared. Lily's asking why Mommy's crying." My chest tightened. "Don't use the kid as a shield." "I'm not. I didn't know how bad it was. The loans, the forgeries. She told me you'd signed off on some stuff before you left, that it was joint family debt." I laughed, short, bitter. "And you believed her?" He winced. "I wanted to. Easier that way." "Yeah," I said. "Easier to believe the woman who stole your fiancé than to admit you got played." He stared at the ground. "I'm sorry. For all of it. The affair, the way it ended. I should have fought for you." "Too late," I said. "But you can still do the right thing now. Step aside. Let the investigation happen. Don't interfere." He nodded slowly. "I won't. Grayson already called me, told me to stay out of the file." "Good." He looked up then, eyes searching mine. "You coming to the reunion?" "Wouldn't miss it." He turned to leave, then paused. "For what it's worth, I never stopped thinking about you." I closed the door without answering. That night, I lay awake listening to the trucks rumble past on Route 17. The first strike had landed. Clean, public, undeniable. The town was whispering. The police had a file. Hayden was cornered. But I knew her. She wouldn't go down quietly. She'd fight back. Harder. Dirtier. And when she did, I'd be ready. The reunion was 4 days away. The real fireworks were just beginning. The days before the Labor Day reunion blurred into a tense countdown. Willow Creek was already gearing up. Volunteers stringing red, white, and blue bunting across Main Street, the high school band practicing marches in the park, food trucks rolling in to claim spots along the parade route. The whole town smelled like barbecue smoke and fresh-cut grass, the kind of scent that usually made me nostalgic. This year, it just made me nauseous. I spent the week moving like a shadow through the town, never staying in one place too long. Mornings at the diner, sipping coffee and listening to the morning crowd dissect every rumor. Afternoons driving the back roads around the farm, noting how the fields looked overgrown, the barn roof patched with mismatched shingles, signs of neglect Hayden probably blamed on hard times. Evenings back at the motel, updating the binder, saving every new screenshot, every anonymous text that pinged my burner phone. The threats had started ramping up after I filed the police report. First, it was vague. Back off or you'll regret it. Then more specific. Leave town before the reunion. You don't belong here anymore. One came at 2 a.m., a photo of my motel door taken from across the parking lot, timestamped 10 minutes earlier. I didn't flinch. I just forwarded them all to Detective Grayson with a single line, for the file. Grayson called me Thursday night. "We're moving fast on the subpoenas. Bank records should be here by Monday. Handwriting experts already looking at the signatures. Says the forgeries are sloppy under magnification. You're stirring the pot, Harper. People are talking. A lot." "Good," I said. "Let them." He hesitated.
Jake's been asking questions, not officially, just casually, trying to figure out how deep this goes.
I stared at the ceiling fan spinning lazy circles. He can ask all he wants. He's not touching the investigation. Agreed. I told him to stand down. But watch your back. Hayden's not the type to go quietly. I already knew that. Friday morning, I met with Mr. Hargrove, the lawyer handling Grandma's estate, at his office above the hardware store. Same wood-paneled waiting room, same smell of old paper and pipe tobacco. He was in his 70s now, thick glasses, suspenders, but his mind was still razor sharp. He reviewed my binder without comment for 20 solid minutes, flipping pages, making notes in tiny script. When he finally looked up, his expression was grim. This is explosive, Harper. Criminal, not just civil. If we present this at the hearing, forged documents, identity theft, the recorded admissions, you'll not only secure your share, you'll likely trigger an indictment. The judge won't have a choice but to refer it to the DA. I nodded. And the will contest? Dead in the water. Abandonment claim won't hold when we show she's the one who benefited from your absence. She'll be lucky if she walks away with anything after the creditors get their cut. I leaned forward. I don't want her broke. I want her exposed. Publicly. At the reunion, in front of the whole town. The hearing's right after the fireworks, in the town hall. Everyone will be there. Parents, Jake, Lily, the neighbors who've been whispering about me for years. Hargrove studied me. You're sure about that? Once it's out, there's no putting it back in the bottle. Your family, they'll be humiliated. They humiliated me first, I said quietly. 8 years ago. They chose her. Let them feel what that costs. He sighed, closed the binder. All right, I'll prepare the motion to dismiss her contest and admit your evidence. You'll speak last, after I lay the foundation. Keep it factual, no emotion. The facts will do the talking. I left his office with a copy of the motion draft in my bag, heart pounding steady now instead of erratic. The plan was solid, no loose ends. That afternoon, I drove past the park where the reunion would happen. Tents were going up, the big banner strung between 2 oaks. Willow Creek 150th anniversary, family forever. Irony thick enough to choke on. Kids were already running around the bounce house, parents setting up lawn chairs. I parked across the street and watched for a while. Saw Mom and Dad unloading coolers, laughing with neighbors. Saw Hayden arrive with Lily in tow. Pink dress, pigtails, clutching a stuffed unicorn. Hayden scanned the crowd like she was looking for threats. When her eyes landed on my car, she froze. I didn't wave, just held her gaze until she looked away. She texted me an hour later. We need to meet, alone, tonight. The lake, same spot, 9 p.m. Let's end this before tomorrow. I stared at the message for a long minute. The lake, the oak tree, the place Jake proposed to me under string lights and fireflies, the place she'd taken him from me. I typed back, fine, 9. Then I called Grayson, told him where I'd be, told him to have a patrol car nearby, unmarked, just in case. I spent the rest of the day prepping, charged my phone to 100%, tested the voice recorder app, slipped a small canister of pepper spray into my jacket pocket, legal in New York, and I wasn't taking chances. Wore dark jeans, boots, a black windbreaker, hair tied back, no makeup, no pretense. At 8:45, I drove out to the lake. The road was quiet, gravel crunching under the tires. The moon was 3/4 full, silver light bouncing off the water. I parked near the old oak, killed the engine, and waited. Hayden arrived right on time. Her SUV pulled up slow, headlights off. She got out wearing a dark hoodie, hood up, hands in her pockets. She looked smaller somehow, less polished, more desperate. I stepped out of my car but stayed by the door. You came, she said, voice low. You asked. She walked closer, stopping about 10 feet away. This has to stop, Harper. The report, the rumors, the lawyer. You're destroying everything. You destroyed it first. She laughed, hollow, bitter. You always had to be the victim, didn't you? Poor Harper left at the altar. Poor Harper abandoned by her family. You ran. You chose to disappear. I stayed. I fixed things. I built a life. With my name, my credit, my inheritance. She took another step. I was protecting us. Mom and Dad were drowning after Dad's back surgery. The farm was going under. Jake's job was shaky. I did what I had to. You could have asked me. You were gone, she snapped. No calls, no address. You left us. I pulled out my phone, hit record. Say it again. For the record. Her eyes narrowed. You're recording? Always. She lunged forward, fast, furious, grabbing for the phone. I stepped aside, raised my arm. Don't. She stopped, breathing hard. You think you're so smart, coming back like some avenging angel. The town will side with me. They always have. I'm the one who stayed. You're the ghost. I smiled, cold, slow. We'll see tomorrow, after the fireworks, after I play the recordings, after the judge sees the forgeries, after your daughter watches her mom get handcuffed in front of everyone she knows. Hayden's face crumpled. For a second, I saw real fear, then rage. You'll regret this, she hissed. I turned back to my car. No, you will. I drove away without looking back. In the rear view, her silhouette stood under the oak tree, alone, small, fading into the dark. Tomorrow, the reunion would start like any other year. But when the sun set and the fireworks faded, everything would change. Forever.
Friday night settled over Willow Creek like a heavy quilt. Warm air thick with the promise of tomorrow's fireworks. Crickets loud enough to drown out second thoughts. I hadn't slept much all week. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Hayden's face under the oak tree, the flicker of fear before the rage took over. She was cornered now, and cornered animals bite hardest. Her text came at 7:42 p.m. while I was eating a turkey sandwich from the diner in my motel room. Lake, tonight, 9. We talk. No phones, no recordings, just us. Like old times. Please, Harp. One last chance before tomorrow ruins everything. I stared at the screen until it went dark. She was desperate. Good. Desperation makes people sloppy, makes them talk too much. I replied, okay, 9, same spot. Then I prepped. I tested the voice recorder on my phone again, crystal clear even at arm's length, slipped it into the inner pocket of my windbreaker, mic facing out, added a second backup, a small digital recorder I'd bought in Syracuse, clipped my waistband under the jacket. If she tried to grab one, the other would still catch everything. Pepper spray in the right pocket, car keys between my fingers like brass knuckles. I wore dark clothes again, black hoodie, jeans, boots that wouldn't slip on the damp grass by the water. No jewelry, no perfume, nothing she could use against me. At 8:35, I drove out Route 17, windows down, letting the cool night air steady my pulse. The lake road was empty except for the occasional deer eyes glowing in the headlights. I parked in the same gravel pool-off we'd used as teenagers, far enough from the main path that no one would stumble on us accidentally. The old oak loomed ahead, branches spreading like fingers over the wire. Moonlight silvered the surface, a loon called somewhere far off, lonely and low. I got out, locked the car, and walked the last 50 yards. The ground was soft from recent rain, pine needles sticking to my soles. I stopped under the tree, the same spot where Jake had knelt 8 summers ago, ring in his hand, promising forever. The memory hit like a dull ache. I pushed it down. Headlights swept the road behind me, Hayden's SUV. She killed the engine, sat for a long moment before stepping out. Hood up, hands in pockets, moving slow like she was walking into a trap she'd set herself.
She stopped 10 feet away. You came? You asked. She looked smaller tonight. No makeup, hair loose and tangled by the wind. Her eyes were red-rimmed. I brought wine, she said, lifting a bottle from the passenger seat. Grandma's favorite Cabernet. Thought maybe we could talk like sisters again. I didn't move. I don't drink with people who forge my name. She winced. Fair, but I'm not here to fight. I'm here to beg. She set the bottle on the picnic table someone had bolted to the ground years ago, wood weathered gray, initials carved into every inch. She pulled 2 plastic cups from her pocket, poured slowly. The wine smelled rich, dark, familiar. I know what you're planning tomorrow, she said, holding 1 cup out. The recording, the documents, the whole public shaming. You'll destroy me. Lily will grow up knowing her mom's a criminal. Mom and Dad will never forgive either of us. Jake, he's already pulling away. Please, Harper, walk away. Take half the money quietly. Leave town again. Let me fix this my way. I took the cup but didn't drink. Your way means I disappear, again, while you keep the farm, the house, the life you stole. She sipped hers. I didn't steal.
I survived. You left. I stayed. I took care of them when you wouldn't. I set the cup down untouched. You took care of yourself. She laughed, short, broken. Maybe, but I always hated sharing you. Even when we were kids. You were the pretty one, the nice one. Teachers loved you first. Boys noticed you first. Everyone wanted to be your friend. I was just the loud one, the backup. Her voice cracked. When Jake chose you, it felt like proof. Proof I was second. So when he started looking at me, I didn't stop it. I encouraged it. Because for once I wanted to be chosen. I stayed silent, let her talk. The recording was running. She kept going, words going faster now. After you left, it was easy to make them believe you were unstable. A little crying here, a story about your breakdown there. Mom and Dad wanted to believe it. They felt guilty for not stopping me sooner. Easier to blame you than admit I'd wrecked everything. She drained her cup, poured another. The loans, yeah, I panicked. But I told myself I'd pay them back when things got better. Then the will came up and I saw a way out. If you were gone forever, legally gone, I could keep it all. No more payments, no more hiding.
I watched her sway slightly. The wine was hitting her fast, too fast. You spiked it, I said quietly. She blinked. What? The wine. You put something in mine. Thought I'd pass out, maybe drive off the road on the way back, or wake up tomorrow with no memory of this conversation. Convenient accident. Her eyes widened. I didn't. I switched our cups when you turned to grab the bottle. Yours is the one you've been drinking. Mine's still full. She stared at the cup in her hand, then at me. Color drained from her face. You bitch. I stepped closer. Say it all again, for the record. She lunged, clumsy, wine sloppy, grabbing for my jacket. I sidestepped easily. She stumbled, caught herself on the table. Her breathing was ragged now. I hate you, she slurred. I always hated you. You had everything, and you threw it away. I took it because you didn't deserve it. I pulled out my phone, still recording, and held it up so the mic caught every word. Keep going, I said softly. The judge will love this. She sank to the ground, back against the oak, knees drawn up. Tears streamed down her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Don't do this tomorrow, please, for Lily. I crouched in front of her, voice steady. You don't get to use her now. You should have thought about Lily before you stole my life. She reached for me, weak, pleading. I stood up. I'm taking you home, I said. You're too drunk to drive. I helped her to her feet. She leaned on me heavily, mumbling apologies mixed with curses. I got her into the passenger seat of her SUV, buckled her in, drove the 10 minutes back to the yellow house on Elm. The porch light was on. Jake's patrol car wasn't in the driveway. He was working the late shift pre-reunion security. I half carried her inside, up the stairs to their bedroom, tucked her under the covers like she was a child. She was barely conscious, eyes fluttering. I placed the small recorder on her nightstand, still running, next to a note I'd written earlier on motel stationery. Listen to this in the morning. See you at the reunion. Harper. I turned off the light and left. Outside, I got into my rental car and drove back to the motel. My hands didn't shake. My heart beat steady. Tomorrow, the town would gather for hot dogs, parades, and fireworks. Then, in the town hall, under fluorescent lights and 100 watchful eyes, I'd play every word she'd just confessed. She thought tonight was her last chance to stop me. She was wrong. Tonight was mine.
The night before the reunion felt like the calm before a Midwest thunderstorm. Air heavy, sky bruised purple, everything holding its breath. I'd spent the day tying off loose ends, double-checking the USB drives with every recording, emailing encrypted copies to Hargrove and Grayson, even printing a spare set of the most damning documents to keep in my bag.
Paranoia? Maybe. But Hayden had already proven she played dirty. I wasn't about to walk into tomorrow blind. Around 7:30 p.m., my burner buzzed with her text. I read it twice, letting the words sink in. Meet me at the lake, our spot, 9 sharp. Bring nothing but yourself. No phones, no tricks. I just want to talk, one sister to another, before you blow up everything tomorrow. Classic Hayden, trying to control the narrative, make it intimate, make me feel like the unreasonable one. She knew exactly what buttons to push. Our spot, the oak tree where we used to sneak out at 16, where secrets felt safe under the stars, where Jake proposed to me, where she later took him behind my back. I typed back, I'll be there. Then I prepared like I was going into battle. I tested both recorders again, one in my phone's voice memo app, the other a cheap digital one from Walmart clipped inside my bra strap, mic angled toward my collar. The phone went into my left jacket pocket on silent, screen locked. The digital one ran silent too. No beeps, no lights. I wore a thin black windbreaker over a dark long-sleeve tee, jeans, sturdy boots. Pepper spray in the right pocket, easy draw. A small tactical flashlight that doubled as a kubotan if things got physical. My car keys threaded through my fingers. I left the motel at 8:40, drove slow out Route 17 with the windows cracked, letting the night air cool my skin. The lake smelled the same as always, damp earth, pine, faint fish, and algae. I parked in the gravel turnout a quarter mile from the main path, killed the lights, and walked the rest of the way. Gravel crunched under my boots, leaves rustled overhead. The moon was high and cold, throwing long shadows across the water. The oak stood where it always had, massive trunk scarred with decades of carved initials, branches spreading like a sheltering hand. I stopped under it, back to the trunk, facing the road. Waited. Her headlights appeared at 8:58. She drove slow, cut the engine 50 yards away, sat inside for a full minute before stepping out. Put up, hands visible but tense. She carried a canvas tote and a bottle of red wine, same label Grandma used to keep in the cellar for special occasions. She approached carefully, like I might bolt or attack. "You came," she said, voice soft, almost tender. "You asked nicely." She stopped about 8 feet away. I brought wine, thought we could sit, talk, like before everything went wrong. I didn't move. "I'm not thirsty." She set the toad on the ground, pulled out 2 plastic cups, uncorked the bottle with a small corkscrew, poured slowly into both. The wine caught the moonlight, deep ruby, almost black. "I know what you're going to do tomorrow," she said, holding 1 cup toward me. "The town hall, the evidence, the big reveal. You'll destroy me in front of everyone. Lily will see her mom dragged away in cuffs. Mom and Dad will lose the farm to creditors. Jake, he'll never look at me the same." I took the cup but kept it low, untouched. "You destroyed yourself." She sipped hers. "Maybe, but I'm asking you, begging you, to stop. Walk away. Take your half quietly after the hearing. Leave town again. I'll pay you monthly from the farm income, whatever it takes. Just don't make it public. Don't make Lily hate me." Her voice cracked on Lily's name. Tears shimmered. Performance or real? It was hard to tell. I tilted my head. "You think I care about money, after what you did?" "I think you care about family," she said quietly, "even if you pretend you don't." I let the silence stretch. Then, "Drink your wine, Hayden. You look like you need it." She drained half her cup in one go, poured more. Her hand shook slightly. "I always hated how easy it was for you," she said, words starting to slur at the edges. "You were the good one, the quiet one. Everyone forgave you everything. Me, I had to fight for scraps. When Jake started looking at me, I didn't plan it, but I didn't stop it either, because for once someone chose me." She swayed, caught herself on the tree. "After you left, it was easy to rewrite the story. You were unstable, broken, ran off because you couldn't handle it. Mom and Dad bought it. They needed someone to blame besides themselves. The town bought it.
Jake. He needed to believe he hadn't wrecked everything.
Another long sip. Her eyes were glazing now. The loans started small, she continued, voice dropping. A credit card here, a little cash advance there. Then the farm payments got behind. Dad's back went out again. I panicked. Your name was still on everything. Old joint accounts, your SSN still linked from when we were kids. It was so easy. Just sign your name a few times. Tell the bank you were traveling but authorized it. No one checked. She laughed, hollow, wet. I told myself I'd fix it, pay it back when things got better. Then the will came. Grandma left us equal. If you showed up, the creditors would take your half first, but mine would still be exposed. If you were legally gone, abandon the family, I could keep it all. Clean slate. I watched her knees buckle. She slid down the trunk, sitting hard on the roots. You spiked my cup, I said calmly. Her head jerked up. What? I switched them when you bent to grab the corkscrew. You drank what you meant for me. Realization hit her like cold water. She stared at the empty cup in her hand, then at the full one still in mine. You planned this. I planned everything. She tried to stand, like scolding under her. You can't use this. I was drunk. It doesn't count. I pulled out my phone, screen showing the recording timer, 14:37 and climbing, held it so she could see. Say hi to tomorrow's audience. She lunged, weak, desperate, clawing for the phone. I stepped back easily. She collapsed sideways, sobbing now, face in her hands. I hate you, she whispered. I always hated you. You had everything and you didn't even want it. I took it because I deserved it more. I crouched, just out of reach. Keep talking, the mic's still hot. She looked up, mascara streaking black rivers down her cheeks. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Don't do this for Lily. She needs her mom. You should have thought about Lily before you stole my identity, before you slept with my fiancé, before you tried to erase me. She reached for me, trembling fingers. Please. I stood. Get up. I'm driving you home. She was too far gone to argue. I helped her to her feet, half carried her to her SUV, buckled her in, drove the quiet back roads to the yellow house on Elm, porch light on, windows dark, Jake still on duty, Lily asleep upstairs. I got her inside, up the stairs, into their bedroom, tucked her under the quilt like she was 5 again. She mumbled something incoherent, apologies, curses, my name. I placed the small digital recorder on her nightstand, screen glowing faintly. Next to it, a single sheet of motel notepaper. Listen when you wake up, every word, every confession. See you tomorrow at the reunion. Your sister, Harbor. I turned off the lamp, closed the door softly. Outside, the night was still warm, stars sharp overhead. I walked to my rental car, got in, and drove back to the motel without rushing. Tomorrow the town would eat hot dogs, watch the parade, ooh and ah at fireworks. Then, in the town hall, I'd press play. And Hayden's perfect little world would shatter in front of everyone who ever believed her lies. She thought tonight was her Hail Mary. It was mine.
Labor Day dawned bright and merciless, the kind of perfect upstate New York morning that makes tourists take too many pictures and locals complain about the crowds. Willow Creek Park was already buzzing by 9 a.m. Kids chasing each other around the bounce houses, the high school band warming up with off-key trumpets, vendors hawking funnel cakes and lemonade. The big banner overhead flapped in the breeze. Willow Creek 150th anniversary. Family forever. The irony tasted like copper in my mouth. I arrived early, wearing the white sundress I'd bought in Seattle years ago, the same simple style I'd planned to wear for my wedding rehearsal dinner. No makeup, hair loose and natural auburn again, freckles standing out against pale skin. I looked like the girl who left, but sharper, older, unbreakable. I walked the perimeter of the park first, nodding at familiar faces. Mrs. Hargrove from the diner squeezed my arm and whispered, "You okay, honey?" I smiled. Better than okay. Tommy from the feed store tipped his cap. Katie from the bank gave me a nervous thumbs up. Word had spread, quietly but steadily. The town was waiting for something. They just didn't know what yet. Hayden showed up late, around noon, when the parade was in full swing. She wore a red sundress with white polka dots, patriotic, cheerful.
perfect. Makeup flawless, hair in perfect waves. Lily clung to her hand in a little matching outfit, waving a tiny flag. Jake trailed behind in civilian clothes, face drawn, eyes scanning the crowd like he expected trouble. When they spotted me standing near the bandstand, Hayden's smile froze for half a second. Then she recovered, waved like we were best friends, and steered Lily toward the cotton candy stand. I didn't wave back.
The afternoon dragged, picnic tables groaning under potluck dishes, kids winning goldfish in plastic bags, the mayor giving a speech about community and legacy. I stayed on the edges, sipping water, watching Hayden. She laughed too loud at jokes that weren't funny, hugged people too tightly, kept glancing my way like I might vanish if she looked away long enough. At 6 p.m., as the sun dipped low and painted the sky orange, the crowd started drifting toward the town hall for the will reading. Tradition. After the fireworks, the community gathered inside for any official announcements. Grandma's estate was the big one this year. People whispered about it all day. Equal shares for the Kane twins, Hayden's contesting, Harper's back, wonder if she'll show. They were about to get their answer. The town hall smelled like old wood polish and coffee. Folding chairs filled the main room, standing room only in the back. My parents sat in the front row, Mom twisting a tissue, Dad staring straight ahead. Jake stood against the wall near the door, arms crossed. Lily sat on Hayden's lap, playing with a stuffed unicorn, oblivious. Mr. Hargrove took the podium at 7:15, right as the first fireworks cracked outside. He waited for the booms to fade. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, voice steady through the microphone. "We're here to address the last will and testament of Eleanor May Kane. The document is clear. The family farm, lake cottage, and liquid assets, approximately $520,000, are to be divided equally between her granddaughters, Harper Kane and Hayden Kane Whitaker." Murmurs rippled. Hayden sat straighter, chin up. "However," Hargrove continued, "a contest has been filed by Miss Whitaker, alleging abandonment by Miss Kane. Before we proceed, Miss Kane has requested to present evidence rebutting that claim and raising additional matters." He nodded to me. I stood, walked to the front. Every eye followed. Hayden's face went pale under the fluorescent lights. I connected my phone to the hall speakers. Hargrove had arranged it earlier. My voice came through first, calm. "Before we sign anything, I have something to share." I hit play. Hayden's voice filled the room, slurred but unmistakable, from the night before at the lake. "I always hated sharing you. You were the pretty one, the nice one. Everyone loved you first." Gasps. Someone whispered, "That's Hayden." The recording continued, her confessions pouring out like poison. The affair with Jake, the forged signatures, the loans in my name, the plan to cut me out of the will. Harper's never coming back. She's dead to them. Once the will's thrown out, the farm's mine free and clear. The room went deathly quiet, except for the crackle of fireworks outside. Lily looked up at her mom, confused. "Mommy."
Hayden's hands shook. "That's edited. She tricked me. I was drunk." I cut to the next clip. Bank statements projected on the wall screen Hargrove had set up. Forged signature side by side. Mortgage docs, credit card statements, the $197,000 debt timeline. Then the police report summary, Detective Grayson's signature at the bottom. Hayden stood abruptly, chair scraping. "This is a lie. She's unhinged. She disappeared for 8 years." The side door opened. Detective Grayson stepped in, uniform crisp, 2 deputies behind him. "Hayden Kane Whitaker," he said, voice carrying over the stunned silence. "You're under arrest for identity theft, forgery, grand larceny, and fraud." Handcuffs clicked. She struggled, briefly, wildly, then sagged as they led her past the rows of chairs. People stared, mouths open. Mom covered her face with her hands. Dad looked like he'd been punched. Lily started crying. "Mommy, where are you going?" Jake moved then, fast, scooping Lily up, holding her close. His eyes met mine across the room. No anger, just exhaustion, guilt, maybe something like respect. Hayden twisted as they reached the door. "Harper, tell them to stop, please." I didn't move, didn't speak. They took her out. The door closed behind them. Silence hung thick for a long moment. Then Hargrove cleared his throat. "The contest is dismissed. The will stands. Equal shares to Harper Kane and Hayden Kane Whitaker.
pending any civil claims or criminal forfeiture. People started whispering, some stood, some cried. My parents approached slowly, faces wrecked. "Harper," Mom whispered, "we didn't know." I looked at them, really looked. "You didn't want to." Dad reached for my hand. I let him take it, but didn't squeeze back. Lily wriggled out of Jake's arms and ran to me, wrapped her small arms around my legs. "Aunt Harper, is Mommy in trouble?" I knelt, hugged her gently. "Yeah, sweetie, but it's going to be okay. I promise." Jake watched us, eyes wet. "I'll take care of her tonight," he said quietly. "We'll figure it out." I nodded once. Outside, fireworks exploded in the sky, red, white, blue. The crowd spilled out, talking in hushed voices. The story was already spreading. The good twin came back. The bad one got caught. Justice, small-town style. I stood on the town hall steps, watching the colors bloom and fade. The air smelled like gunpowder and regret. I didn't feel triumph, not exactly. I felt empty, and then slowly full again, like I'd finally exhaled after holding my breath for 8 years. The reckoning was over, and for the first time since I left, I could breathe.
The fireworks ended with a final, thunderous burst of gold and red that lit up the entire sky over Willow Creek. People clapped, kids cheered, and then the crowd started drifting home, some laughing, some quiet, all carrying the weight of what they'd just witnessed in the town hall. I stayed on the steps a long time after everyone left, watching the smoke drift across the lake like ghosts. The air smelled like sulfur and wet grass. For the first time in 8 years, I didn't feel like running. Hayden spent the night in the county jail. Bail was set high, $50,000, and no one posted it. Not Jake, not my parents, not even her best friend Trish, who'd suddenly gone radio silent. The charges were stacking: multiple counts of identity theft, forgery in the second degree, grand larceny, and mortgage fraud. Detective Grayson told me the DA was reviewing for possible wire fraud additions, since some of the credit cards were used online across state lines. She wasn't going anywhere soon. Jake filed for divorce the next Tuesday. Papers served at the jail. He kept Lily full-time. Hayden got supervised visitation pending the criminal case. He moved out of the yellow house on Elm and into a small rental on the edge of town. 2 bedrooms, nothing fancy. When he dropped Lily off for her first weekend with me at the motel, he looked like a man who'd aged 10 years in 10 days. "She asks about her mom every night," he said quietly, handing me Lily's backpack. "I tell her Mommy's sick and needs to get better. It's the best I can do right now." I nodded. "I'll be careful with what I say." He hesitated at the door. "I'm sorry, Harper, for everything. I should have seen it, should have stopped it." "You did what you did," I said. No anger left, just fact. We all did. He left without another word.
Lily and I spent that first weekend rebuilding something small and careful. We baked chocolate chip cookies in the motel microwave. Messy, but edible. We walked to the lake, sat under the oak tree, skipped stones across the water. She asked questions in that blunt 7-year-old way. "Why did Mommy take your stuff? Is she coming home soon?" I answered honestly but gently. "Mommy made some bad choices because she was scared. She's going to be away for a while, but she still loves you. And I'm here now. We'll figure it out together." She hugged me tight. "You smell like Mommy, but nicer." My heart cracked open a little wider. The farm came next. Hargrove handled the probate fast. Hayden's contest was dead, and the criminal charges meant her share was frozen pending restitution. I got full access to my half immediately. The liquid assets, $260,000 after fees, hit my new account within 2 weeks. I used part of it to pay off the fraudulent loans in my name. The banks were cooperative once they saw the police reports. The rest I put toward the farm. I moved in the first week of October. The old farmhouse needed work. Peeling paint, leaky roof, overgrown garden, but it still felt like home. The same creaky porch steps, the same view of the lake from the kitchen window. I hired local contractors. Tommy from the feed store recommended a crew, and started fixing it up. Fresh white paint, new shingles, a vegetable garden out back where Grandma used to grow tomatoes. Lily helped plant the first row of carrots, her small hands patting the dirt like it was magic. My parents came by on Sundays at first, tentative, guilty. Mom brought casseroles, Dad brought tools.
They didn't ask for forgiveness outright. They just showed up, helped sand the porch rails, sat on the steps with coffee while Lily chased fireflies. One evening, Mom finally spoke. "We failed you, Harper. We chose the easy story over the hard truth. I'm so sorry." I looked out at the lake, the water silver under the setting sun. "I know." Dad cleared his throat. "We want to make it right. If you'll let us." I didn't answer right away. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a slow thaw. But I nodded once. "Start with Lily. She needs grandparents." They did. They babysat when Jake worked late shifts. They took her to the pumpkin patch, carved jack-o'-lanterns on the porch. Slowly, the house filled with voices again, laughter, not just echoes. Hayden's trial was set for spring. She took a plea, reduced charges, 3 to 5 years, possible parole in 2 with good behavior. Restitution ordered, full repayment of the loans, plus court costs. She wrote me one letter from jail. I read it once, then burned it in the backyard fire pit. I was wrong. I hated what I couldn't have. I'm sorry. Tell Lily I love her. No excuses, no manipulation. Just the truth. Too late. I didn't write back.
Jake and I co-parented Lily in the quiet way people do when the past is still raw. He brought her over weekends. I dropped her at school some mornings. We didn't talk about us. There was no us anymore, but we talked about her. That was enough. Some nights I stood on the porch alone, watching the water. The oak tree was still there, scarred and strong. I didn't forgive Jake, not fully. I didn't forgive my parents. I didn't forgive Hayden. But I didn't need to carry the hate anymore. It had served its purpose. The town still talked. Small towns always do. But the story shifted. I wasn't the runaway anymore. I was the one who came back. The one who fixed the farm. The one who read bedtime stories to her niece and planted carrots in the spring dirt. I kept the mirror in the upstairs hallway, the old one with the chipped frame, where Hayden and I used to stand side by side, practicing smiles. Now when I looked in it, I didn't see the shadow twin. I saw me, lines around my eyes from years of holding everything in, freckles still there, auburn hair growing long again. I looked tired. I looked strong. I looked like someone who'd finally taken her life back. Lily calls me Aunt Harper most days. Sometimes, when she's sleepy and the house is quiet, she calls me Mommy by accident. I don't correct her. I just hug her tighter. The mirror finally tells the truth. I'm not the one who ran. I'm the one who stayed. And she never saw it coming.
By 9 a.m., I was out the door, bag slung over my shoulder like it weighed nothing, instead of 40 pounds of stolen future money. I took the subway to a storage place in Long Island City, one of those 24-hour access joints with keypad gates and cameras that probably didn't work. I paid cash for a small unit under the name Marie Sparrow, Mom's key phrase echoing in my head. I locked the duffel inside, double-checked the padlock, and left. Back home, I collapsed on the couch. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I kept seeing Mom's face, not the sick one from the end, but the young one from those gala photos, smiling, in love, hiding a fortune and a dead or not dead husband. Why me? Why not Derek? Why hide it all these years? I pulled out my laptop again. One more search. Victor Langford children. Nothing official. No mentions of heirs beyond vague family. But in a 2005 obituary, Victor's brother, Richard Langford, had taken over the firm after presuming Victor deceased. Richard was quoted, "My brother's legacy lives on through the work we do. We honor his memory by building responsibly." No mention of a daughter. No Elena Marie. But if the trust vested on my 32nd birthday, and I'd turned 32 3 months ago, then the gold was mine, legally, irrevocably, and someone, maybe the Langfords, maybe Derek, maybe whoever blew up that yacht, might not like that. I closed the laptop. The room felt colder. I whispered to the empty air, "Mom, what did you get me into?" Outside, a car slowed in front of my building. Headlights lingered too long on my window. I pulled the shade down fast, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel poor. I felt hunted.